What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. We're here at AGA, the preserve at AGA, getting ready for tournament this weekend, playing in the Lost Valley Open preview and last chance qualifier, playing in the advanced division. So if we finish top 2, we would qualify for the Lost Valley Open, which is a B tier event, which would take place Saturday and Sunday. Fortunately, we're going on vacation those days, so we wouldn't be able to play, but we're here. Exciting course, can't wait to show you guys and follow along on the practice round. So the first hole's a really tough par 3, 420 feet over there to the right. You got to get past these trees. All on the left is safe. The right side is not OB, but it's super thick and you'll probably lose a disc if you throw it in there. So the goal here is to just play it safe to the left, chip up, get your par and move on. So after a par on the first, which is honestly the score that I want, what we're trying to get, we go to the second, which is a much more attackable hole, but just take a minute to appreciate. I mean, this course is on a Christmas tree farm, crops to the right, really beautiful, well-designed course. So here we are, hole 2. It's a par 3, 320 feet. You can see the OB crops on the left, the Christmas trees on the OB crops on the right. Christmas trees on the left are safe. Hardest thing about this hole right here is this branch that hangs down, kind of prevents that wide hyzer play. Other than that, it's really not that tough. This is a hole that you probably want to get your birdie on if you can, but if I take a par, it's fine. I just really want to avoid the OB over there on the right. It's slightly uphill, so got about 100 feet left. I went with the turnover with the overstable Thunderbird just to make sure I didn't go OB on the right there. And honestly, just like a little chip up and a par is not the worst thing ever on this hole. Even through 2 has us right on track. Just want to appreciate this for a second. Hole 3, pretty gettable hole. A lot of OB though. Those crops are OB, back there's OB. Basically the whole crop line on the right is out of bounds. Little forehand here. Don't want to push it too long though. Again, par, not a bad score. Just want to avoid the OB really. We were able to give it a decent bid, but keep it close. Tapping in a par. Still even as we make our way to 4. It's a par 4, 628 feet, OB on the left. A tight but fair gap. You see the crops on the left up there are OB. The basket's all the way tucked back in those trees. Type of fair gap off the tee, and then you have to hit another gap to get up to the basket, which sits about 80 feet behind that second gap. You can kind of see it there. So it's a tough hole, but again, avoiding OB is the biggest thing here. Honestly, on this one, I'm still not entirely sure if I should go backhand off the tee because it can chop off more distance, but it makes the gap harder to hit, and then you can flirt with the OB if you don't turn it enough. Or forehand, which is not going to get as much distance. It's more likely to hit the gap, and it's less likely to go OB. Kind of leaning towards the forehand option, just because it's safer. It's harder to get a birdie, less likely to get a birdie than if you throw a good backhand, but probably going to go forehand off the tee on Friday. So here's our forehand shot. You can see right in the middle of the fairway, but still a decent ways to go to get up to the basket, which is like right there. So Gonna have to put a decent move on this disc and hit a pretty tiny gap too with a low ceiling if we want to try to get the birdie. So one of the tough things, if you don't hit this gap, you have these logs on the left and the right that make it super tough to get through, and we're over here on the left. And if you don't hit the gap perfectly, I mean, birdie is essentially out of the question. We don't even have a long putt at it. So we are right there, and the basket is up over these logs right there. So we got kind of lucky with where we were over there. Had a pretty easy layup. We gave it a decent bid, but now just a little tap in par, and we're still even through 4. It's kind of crazy to think that Simon was up. I think he shot 12 down here. I mean, on the back 9. He was like 8 down through the first 7 or something like that. Was giving eagle bids to a bunch of the par 4s. The back 9 I think is probably a little bit more scoreable because there's more par 4s. But honestly, just getting even par is still like a 970 round. So just trying to par your way through the course. Avoid OB is big. If we can just avoid the OB, I think we'll be able to have a good round. Hole 5, another par 4, 422, super short. Main thing is get left. I don't know for certain if that creek back there is OB. There are stakes that line it, but the T sign does not indicate that it's OB. Get left because the basket is way left. Even if you get into those woods over there, there are some lines. Hitting the initial gap is important, but don't push it long or you have no angle. So I think there's a perfect example of, getting left. We still had a long putt for the birdie, and we managed to scrape up the par. So even through 5 is really like nothing to complain about. Pretty happy with that. And hole 6, we have here pretty short dog leg left. Basically just a mid-ranger putter, straight down the middle, let it fade slightly left. Yesterday I hit chains on my drive, so we'll see if we can grab an ace for the vlog today. No ace, no birdie, another par. Even through 6 is a really good start. Definitely take that on tournament day because we're not bogeying. There are birdies to get later. Hole 6 is one that I would really like to get. It's a pretty straightforward hole, but taking a par is not the worst thing ever. So on to hole 7, which is another tough par 4. Mentioned it, hole 7, another tough par 4. Really no OB to speak of. That OB that you see on the sign is pretty far out there. It's a fair gap, tunnel shot, and you kind of want to get something that skips out to the left to get into this pretty big fairway to open you up into your second shot, which you have to hit another gap. One thing you don't want to be is early left. If you're in those trees over there, birdie is out of the question and par is a pretty good score. Going 2 straight is not bad. Trying to play the skip shot, use as much of the fairway as you can with like an overstable disc, maybe a Firebird, and then get it to skip out. So we'll see what we can do. I might just play it straight and then try to pitch up. I'm not really sure. I don't know how to play this hole. It's a tough one, and par is not a bad score. So here we have a drive that did land in a good position, and you can see tight green basket up there in those trees tucked away. This was a good first shot, really sets up for routine second shot. Here, our initial drive was not good. We pitched out into the fairway, have a should be an easy up and down to try to get the par. Hammer approach has us parked for another par, and so we're still even through 7 as we go to one of, if not the hardest hole on the course. Here we are, hole 8, in my opinion, the hardest hole, the most impossible hole to birdie on the course. You see the tight gap there. It's 420 feet and it's down to the right. I don't even know if you can see it from here. It's a really tough get. Basically, you have to pick that big tree in the middle, a side to go to. And you kind of want to go to the left side of it with a forehand, try to sneak it down there. A turnover backhand's probably the only way you're gonna get there. And there you can see the basket right in between those trees. You can see the very top blue part of the basket. Really tough get, almost an impossible birdie. So I'm just trying to play this for par. If I could walk out of here with a par, I'll be thrilled. This is what this hole does. It tempts you. You try to throw a flex, think you can get down there for a birdie, get a stroke on a bunch of people, you wind up hitting an early tree and you're about 100 feet off the pin. You still got like 300 into a heavily guarded green to try to save the par. So really just being smart, playing a safe hyzer and then another safe hyzer and walking away with the par is really what you should do. Or you're gonna wind up like me, scrambling for a very tough par now. After what many people are calling two of the worst shots in the history of disc golf, we wind up tapping in for a double bogey. Go to +2 through 8, and that's why this hole is just so hard. It really sneaks up on you. After the tough double bogey on 8, we get to 9 and par 4 OB. The whole left side is gettable. It's up in those woods. Whole left side's OB, and then after the wood line on the right, there's some OB long grass. It's the same OB from hole 7. So pin's kind of tucked up to the right in the trees up there. So we'll see if we can get it. It's all about a good tee shot and avoiding that OB on the left, which you kind of want to flirt with to open up the angle, but just stay out of the OB is the most important part. Just threw two of the worst shots in the history of disc golf. Turfed my first drive, went maybe 50 feet, and my second drive went OB. So I'm playing the second one because somebody was out here spotting for me. And I didn't want to play drive 50 feet from the tee. So playing the second one, and we're close to the wood line, but we got to throw a good forehand. We can still say par from here. So let's see if we can do it. So we just completely lost motor skills on the last 2 holes. Tapping in another bogey as we finished +3 on the front 9, which is really not good. You know, it's okay to bogey 8. Really should have parred this hole from where we were, even going OB. So tough pill to swallow right there. Great start, great front 7. Last 2 holes came back to bite me. So now it's just a matter of staying the course and trying to pick up some birdies here and there. Maybe play a little bit more aggressive, especially since it's only a 1-round event. Hole 10, a decent length par 3. Another tight gap off the tee. It's up there to the left. There's like a gap in between 2 lines of trees. That's where the basket is. If you just push it straight, you'll probably give yourself a circle's edge putt. Try to skip off the path and get over. Ideally, you want to get over to the left, but just hitting the initial gap and not going early left into those trees is what's important. Early left into those trees is death. Lucky to save a par, so keep it in the fairway. Maybe try to get a putt for birdie, but ultimately make sure you avoid bogey. So we did the most important thing. We hit the gap, but we didn't do the second most important thing, and that was stay out of the early left. Try to scrape something together here. I mean, we're only like 100 feet away, but a lot in the way. So see if we can get up and down for the par. We couldn't. Hit another early tree. Tapping in for bogey. +4 through 10. 3 bogeys in a row. Things are starting to fall apart. And the holes aren't going to get easier for another couple holes. This is kind of the gauntlet of the course right here. So try to piece together some pars and stop this bogey train, or we could be in trouble. Hole 11, super scenic. One of the signature holes on the course. Super tight tunnel all the way down. It bends to the left and then kind of comes back right. So you want to flip something up and get it to drift at about 300 feet before it hyzers back. It's a really tough hole. Birdie is super tough. I mean, Simon absolutely parked it when he played here last year. It's a hole that I don't really know exactly what to do on. Maybe mid-range, maybe fairway. It's tough. Try to flip something up. We'll see what we can do. Hopefully, don't take anything worse than a par. So this is the most likely scenario. You hit an early tree and you have absolutely nothing to the basket. So let's see what we can do. A miraculous Firebird upshot gave us a putt at the par, which we made. Great scramble. Best shot of the day so far. So hopefully we can carry that momentum into this big, long crusher of a hole. And it's a tough one. Hole 12 said it was a crusher. It's 842 feet, par 4. OB across the road on the left, and then the airplane landing strip on the right is also OB. Then it's an island green. So once you get up to the top of this landing strip area, you have to then cross over inbounds. And if you fail, you have to go to the drop zone. It's a tough hole. I think it played it as the hardest hole last year. It's just because of the out of bounds, really. So see if we can keep it in bounds and walk away with a par. Disappointing bogey, and we're +5 now. Hole 13 is a par 4. Some out of bounds along the crop line over there as usual, and there is out of bounds around the basket, but the tee sign doesn't really show that. It's marked by stakes down there. Basically, you just want to throw something overstable, throw it straight at the crops, trust it to hyzer out. The closer you push to the right, the better the angle is into the basket. It's just basically hyzer. The closer you push to the left, though, the safer it is, but it cuts off your angle a little more. So I like to just throw it straight, let it hyzer out, and then just have a short little mid-range chip into the green. Should be a birdie. Just throw it flat to finish and close to the OB, but still inbounds. And then basket's just up there behind those trees, just a short little hyzer, and you're underneath the basket for what should be a birdie. Taking a par on this hole does not feel very good. Going out of bounds, taking a bogey would feel even worse. Totally shanked my upshot. Hole 14 here at the Preserve, in my opinion, is the easiest hole on the course. It's a par 4, 451. If you're Simon Lizotte, you throw a big anhyzer flex over the top of everything. You have a putt at eagle. He did eagle the last hole, by the way, and he missed like a 45-footer on this one for eagle. If you're a normal human being, you throw either a straight backhand with a slight finish to the right, or a forehand, try to sneak up to the edge of the woods, and then just chip something up to the basket. Pretty routine birdie. In my opinion, easiest hole on the course. 13 is probably the second easiest. 6 is the third easiest, the one that we chained out for ace on the other day. And then the next hole is probably the fourth easiest. So these 3 holes are ones that you want to get, so we'll see if we can nab this one. So we got lucky, we made it through a tiny gap. We missed our initial gap, but still basically parked ourselves and pick up the first birdie of the day. Lucky birdie is still a birdie, or +4. Getting down to the nitty gritty here, hole 15, another relatively easy par 4, only 610 feet. No, it's 610, Lehigh Valley, baby. Lined with OB crops on left and right side, so you can do basically anything you want. You can throw a hyzer out to the right, let it get back in the fairway, throw a straight shot that finds the fairway, throw a forehand. Basically anything that you can get 300 feet and keep it in the middle of the fairway to set up a relatively open 300-foot shot into a pretty wide open green. Throw a nice spike hyzer right in the middle. Approach nicely with a fairway driver, parked it, picked up a birdie, back-to-back birds. That's what I'm saying, these 3 holes in a row almost should be 3 birdies for +3. Just look at how beautiful this hole is though. Really beautiful hole. Got the crops, Christmas trees, basket. Great hole, great course. Well, this is where the birdies stop. Hole 16, 404 feet, uphill the whole way. I cannot reach it. It is all the way up there. Lined with Christmas trees on both sides. The Christmas trees are not OB, but the crops on that side of the Christmas trees are. So on the left side, really gotta stall one out to get it over there, but I like to just play a hyzer, try to get it in the fairway, chip up, take the par. Parked for the par. Hole 17, another par 4, 795 feet, another signature hole. The basket all the way down there on that hill, right there in between those trees, lined with corn or with Christmas trees, and it's just beautiful. But another hole where you need like 400 to 450 feet of hyzer power if you want to birdie it. There is OB down there. Play, just pitch a hyzer out over the trees, let it come back in the fairway. There's a nice little landing zone down around there. And pitch another hyzer. Hopefully you got a putt for birdie. Another hyzer has us about 100 or so feet away. Ooh! We made it. Last hole on the course, hole 18. It's a par 3, OB pond on the left, OB pond on the right up by the basket. You can try to get something over the pond and land it in kind of this island area that you can see here. As for me, I just play simple hyzer shot out to the right side of that pond and then a little chip into the green and hopefully walk away with the par. My favorite mid-range forehand disc has fallen victim to the pond. So we end our day by making a putt. Not the ending I was looking for, losing that disc. We're gonna call it a par. This is my second up shot from tee location. But now I know to be careful so we don't lose another disc. Not a terrible round, not a great round. Didn't really capitalize on some birdie holes. Let bogeys kind of get to me. I think, you know, +3 is not a bad round out here, but looking for something a little bit better. -3 is about 1,000, so if we could get there, that'd be awesome. You know, -4 is not unheard of. If you think about it, there's 4 holes that you can birdie pretty easily, and then you just par the rest, don't go OB. Be a very good, very solid round, but it's not unthinkable. But even to +3 is kind of my goal range. Be happy with anything in there. Anything better than that would be great. Anything worse than that, I'd like to do a little better, but excited for this tournament. Feel like my putt's pretty good right now. Been hitting lines pretty well, so we'll see Friday how it turns out. Thanks guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.